Hey guys, this is Kristen. I just wanted to present my thoughts on nursing for the assignment. I think it's a good way to kind of go back to your roots and kind of look for your core values for the profession. Sometimes it's easy to be jaded, especially for me working in the emergency department. People are coming in extremes of the human condition and not always very nice. So sometimes it's easy for me to get jaded on the daily, but it's good to look back and kind of reaffirm your values. For this assignment, for me, it's difficult to establish any close bonds with people since they're usually there for a short period of time in the emergency room. So for me to establish a connection, I kind of sometimes, tell a joke, even if it's a self-depreciating one, or go get somebody a cup of coffee if they've been waiting, just even a simple touch like holding somebody's hand or standing with them, or sometimes even a hug or just standing next to them will be enough to show that you're there for them and that you care. The hospital that I work at now has a motto called Heart, Head, Heart, which I really think is a great way to embody this, just simple touch, statement. To kind of get some ideas for what I wanted to say, I reread Florence Nightingale's notes on nursing. There's several things that she says that I really identified with. The first of which was her definition of nursing. She says it's a unique profession that's both art and science. And I really think it's a great way to kind of embody what we do. Usually we have an innate calling to want to help people improve their health or help them while they're really ill. And it's also backed by a lot of training and education. So this is a great way to describe it. She also notes that it's an autonomous profession within the scope of practice, which I agree with. She says the goal of nursing is to foster health within the patient and that individuals are complex, holistic beings, which I also really identify with. I feel like people are really complex. You can't just treat it in one aspect. You kind of have to look at the whole scope, including their background and their culture and language and their beliefs and everything. So which I agree with what she's saying there. The last thing that I noticed in her notes is that she says that nurses should be allowed to develop to the maximum of their potential, which in her time was a whole lot harder, but now it's considerably easier. But I think that, you can go as far as you want to with the profession. There's so many ways to, differentiate and specialize that I think it's a great opportunity for people to go as far as they want. So I think it's great to better yourself, which is what we're doing. I was also, when I was looking for things on from Florence Nightingale, I saw Barbara Dossi has an article called Florence Nightingale and Holistic Nursing. She says, there's a quote from her article that says, "A part of Nightingale's wisdom resides within each of us." And I really feel like this is a great quote to kind of embody that. It's also very comforting. As far as ethics, my view on ethics, I think it's such a difficult issue. There's no black and white ever with ethical discussions. We have the ANA scope and standards of practice, as well as the code of ethics, and I feel like that's a great guide, but every situation is different, and so it's very difficult to know what the best route to take is. And so for our other assignment last week, I was reading a book from Aristotle, and he describes in his book on ethics about virtue, and he says there's two aspects of virtue. There's virtue of thought and virtue of character. And so the virtue of thought arises from teaching, so it only improves with time and experience, while the virtue of character arises from habit of choosing the virtuous path, which I think that's kind of comforting, because he says that for if something is by nature in one condition, habituation cannot bring it into another condition. So I think it's nice to know that you can acquire virtue and it can be refined through habit of conscious thought and decision making. So it's nice to know that you can learn from your mistakes and you can learn from situations that we deal with on a daily basis and improve your ethical decision making. As far as policy goes, I think I'm not super versed in either legal or policy making. But I do think that nurses have a unique opportunity to lend their expertise to influence policy in all levels of government. And I feel like I'm very appreciative for those that are in Washington that are lobbying for our benefit. I don't always agree with the position statements for some of our organizations like the ANA and things like that, but I feel like I do recognize the importance of having a presence in policy because it does impact our practice, and I feel like it's good to be involved and to have a voice. As far as legal aspects of nursing, I feel like it's great to continue. There's something I saw that said maintaining continuing competence will help upholding the proper standards of care as outlined in the ANA Code of Ethics. And I think it's a good starting point. So our whole basis of practice is to prevent harm to clients, do no harm. So I feel like if you comply with those within your scope and standards of practice, I feel like have a good basis for practice to avoid any type of legal implications. So that's pretty much my standards and viewpoint on nursing, and I look forward to working with everybody in class. Thanks.